Hello, wonderful people. This is UC1 this once again, and today we are going to be presenting a very interesting and profound topic that requires everyone's attention. There's this trend in some part of the world about the concept of money rituals, where people kill other human beings for the sake of acquiring wealth. And this has been like a trend, this has been something that has been happening in the society, in our part of the part of our world, which is what anchors different crimes like kidnappings, rapid kidnappings here and there, and different things. So there are, and then so many people will rise up to begin to ask this question: how does killing a human being link to becoming wealthy? How does it make sense? How does it make sense? How does it um like what is the philosophy behind it? Today, even as a person, even as an individual, I've tried to figure out how these things work. How, because it wasn't making any sense that you have to kill your fellow human being to um for you to become wealthy. So lately I read a lot of books, and I came up with what I realized. And you have to bring your seat close so that you can hear this important message of how these things work. In the ancient times, there are different sacrifices that were conducted. I read about Moloch, and Moloch is also part of what is described in the Bible. Child sacrifice, where parents make vows to Moloch to sacrifice their children for in exchange for fertile lands. And it began to dawn on me that the concept of having things, the concept of wealth is an alien concept to human. I'm coming. It's an alien concept to human. The concept of having a lot of abundant wealth, the concept of even acquiring gold and silver is an adoption. It's something that came upon humans by some certain civilizations or some certain kind of beings that have lived before us. So now, if you look very closely, you discover one thing. You discover that from ancient time, from the dawn of time, from history, there have been records of different sacrifices. There have been records of values of gold. Now, there's something I want everyone that is watching, I want you to ask yourself this question: what is so special about gold? Now, I'm talking about rituals and sacrifices now, but I'm going to be extending it to gold. What is so special about gold? Because I'm going somewhere now. What is so special about gold that makes it so valuable? Have you ever asked yourself that question? Is gold the most important mineral? Even periodic table, basic chemistry will let you understand that gold is just a weak matter. It does not conduct to an extent in things that pertains to value and strength, tensile strength or durability. You won't find gold at the hem of the highest things that matter. So what value does gold have? Just follow me closely. You are going to arrive at somewhere very profound and it will shock you. What is so special about gold that in ancient temples, even in building the temple of ancient gods and goddesses, even getting to the Hebrew Bible, where God was telling Moses how he would build his temple, he recommended different types of gold, making the things meant for God with gold, and so much more. What is so special about gold? There are two things at play here. There are two things at play. Two separate things. The first one is gold. The second one is blood. Blood and gold. Now, gold is mostly referred to in things meant for building sacred temples or places where gods come, or kings or royalty. Anytime you see someone that is adorned with gold, you see the person has royalty bestowed upon him. Then there is another thing called the blood. Blood, red hemoglobin, blood of humans, blood of animals. So this is like an exchange. This is like an exchange. If you look at it very well, you discover something. You discover that there are beings that came. Every scribe, most scribe wrote about it. It's just that if you conduct your research very well, you discover that there are beings that came to this earth. There are beings that came with an alien knowledge, with a type of knowledge that was adopted by human beings because of the teachings of those beings, and there was an exchange. That means those beings had a covenant or like a contract with humanity. And when they had the contract, there was an exchange. There was an exchange of gold with blood. There was an exchange of gold with blood. So now you will ask it, how does blood make someone wealthy? The concept of wealth, let me go back to what I said earlier. I said the concept of wealth is, in this, the way we know it, is not what is an alien concept to human beings, human species. How do I know this? From early times, human beings were not known for acquiring so much things, building cities. Human beings were not known for that. Human in this our species, the true nature of human beings is just to live a rural life of farming, getting crops, surviving with your family, and existing together. But the concept of wealth begins to make different types of human beings. You discover that since that concept came upon human, they started building great cities, and power begins to fall to a single person. Listen to what I'm saying. Power became like a pyramid. Power began to flow from one monarchical authority to the rest of humanity. And that's why another way to understand that this concept of wealth is alien to human beings because of the structure of government, structure of wealth flow. because most of everything that happens in this world is only few people has the wealth in their hands, the real wealth. Only few people has it. How do I know this? How many people you can only count like maximum 1,000 people that are in Forbes magazine of the richest people in the world, richest billionaire. I don't know whether the billionaires of the world are up to 1,000 or thereabout, but maybe they're up to 1,000. I don't know. I've not conducted research on that. But you discover that apart from those 1,000 people, wealth is tied, majority of the wealth of the world is tied to very few people, which is like tiny on top. Then so many other people are languishing in great poverty. So that is not the ideal structure, because the ideal structure in the subconscious of every man is that nature is very abundant. Every man can take from nature and then become prosperous on his own and not necessarily be under anybody. That is the true nature. That is the real nature. But the alien nature tried to make every man subject to one man. And being subject to that one man brought about the structure of royalty, kings, and covenants. So Moloch became, the concept of Moloch and human sacrifice became a platform of aligning with the covenant of the ancients, because it's still invoked. Those covenants are still invoked. Those concept of pyramid, that is structural leadership, that is ruling from the top to the bottom, is still invoked. Very few people on top. So many majority of human beings frustrated at the bottom. So you discover that before you can climb to that kind of height, before you can get to a certain height, there's a point you get to, there will be a question placed upon you. That's why the Holy Book says something about Paul, the spiritual Paul said, is a very spiritual man. Says something that we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, we wrestle against principalities, powers, and rulers of darkness in high places. So as you begin to ascend into the high places of power and influence, begin to understand the concept of the need to do the needful. What is the needful? To fraternize yourself, to do a handshake, to have a covenant, to do an exchange with people that have introduced us into the system of hierarchical government. Because anything hierarchical was not mainly a human thing. That's why there's this thing called oppress and the oppressor. So once that comes in play, it begins to, like, the hierarchical form of government begins to make it obvious to you as an individual that wants to climb there that you need to do some sacrifice. There is need for sacrifice and there is need for exchange. So blood has to go so that you can get the gold. And what is the gold? And what is in the blood? Life is in the blood. And the gold is like the blood of those entities. I don't know. Gold is like what? The blood of those entities. Because when you give them blood, they will give you gold. That gold they gave you is like a control. It's like a control. A conscious controlling system. Because consciousness is in levels, is in cadres. So if you can give them the consciousness of the blood of humanoids, they'll give you gold. then what are you going to be doing with that gold? Is left for you. You become authoritative with the gold. What are they going to be doing with the blood? They are going to be something I call transmogrifying. They are going to, the blood that you are giving them gives them the avenue to have access to invade into humanoid, invade into human territory. I wish you can understand this thing. The blood you are giving them, the blood of sacrifice, the rituals and everything that's conducted is giving those beings, because normally the universe was created in different kedas or in different realms, and each realm has a boundary to it, except the two people involved in different boundaries come together and agree to break the bridge with the consequences, because once you break the bridge, there is always a consequence. There is consequences, because the higher, or there'll be clash of different knowledge, there'll be amalgamation of things that were not meant to coexist, and there will be frictions. So that's what is happening. That's exactly what is happening. That's the genesis of all these things you are seeing. That's the genesis of the concept of rising. That's the genesis of rising into power. That's the genesis of blood rituals. That's the genesis of some hideous religion. That is the genesis of so many deep occult. So this information I'm giving is a very powerful one. If you have ear, you will hear, you understand where I'm going. It's a very deep one. It's a very deep teaching. And if you can relate, I want you to come to comment section and interact with us, or tell us what you think about what you are saying. So I'm going to leave you with this. Expand your knowledge. Get to know so many things. Don't be naive. Don't just be naive. Expand your knowledge. Try as much as possible to know as much as you can, so that you will not become a scapegoat, so that you become fully what you are meant to be. Because whether you like it or not, we are in a battleground. It's a battleground, and only the strong will survive.